Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial. I'm ThaTimster, and in this tutorial I'll be teaching you guys how to swap weapons. So this is like for your sort of average FPS game where you'll say have a secondary and a primary weapon, and maybe there's some extra gadgets and stuff you want to stick in. But yeah, when I first got into sort of making games in the Blender game engine, I sort of found it quite hard to do this sort of thing, and it took me quite a while. I couldn't really find any good tutorials or anything that could help me to do this. So yeah, I thought it'd be cool to make a tutorial for you guys so you don't have the same problem. So straight on into it, just a plane as a floor with a material texture on it. You can go ahead and look at one of my other tutorials, perhaps the how to make sparks one, if you want to get this full setup going. So the FPS setup, that's just part 1, teaches you the whole FPS setup, and then you just need a floor. It can be any text or anything. Then you'll have to have already modeled your secondary weapon. I think in the how to make sparks I teach you guys how to make a pistol, so that could be one. I'm just using low poly objects just for the purpose of the tutorial. And you'll need to model a secondary weapon, primary. Tons of tutorials on how to model guns and stuff. But yeah, so once you've done that, press Shift F1, and then you'll probably be, I don't know, say you're in here, then you go into a folder that you'll find it, and you go into, say it's this one, you go into Object, and then you'd select the object you want. And it's probably best to name it as well. But I've got these two, so I'm going to call this one primary, and the secondary, oh, it's already called pistol. Okay, that's fine. And now, very important, press Ctrl A, apply scale to both. So, press Ctrl A, and then apply scale. Then what you're going to want to do is select perhaps this one or that one. Hold down Shift and right click the head here. And press Ctrl P. Parent to object. Don't parent it to the camera, because for aiming in on the sight and stuff can be sort of a pain. If you parent it to the camera, because then it actually moves around with the camera and you can't do that. And then we're going to select our secondary and going to Control P, parent to the head object as well, so it all moves with this. Press Control Z to go back. Then what we're going to do now is, obviously for your games, or any game, you're going to have animations in it. So we're going to need to animate you pulling out your secondary and putting away the secondary and pulling up the secondary, and the same for the primary weapon. So first of all, I'm gonna animate the secondary just because it's on the right side. Drag this down to 0 right here. Just because 1 is a funny value and it makes it sort of uneven. Oh yeah, also go to the top here, Blender Game, Render Settings, GLSL, so you can see your textures and stuff. Make sure this is in textured mode. And now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get this in a good position. So it's what I want the secondary weapon to sort of do. So you can scale it, do whatever. I probably should just be moving it, not scaling or anything. But say I'm happy with that view, just like that. Then I'm going to press I, location, rotation, then going to go down to, this is how long the animation will be, so 60 is going to be, oh, go down here, change this to 60, so this is exactly 1 second here, and I want it to last, say, maybe a little bit more than 1 second, but not quite 2 seconds, and so that's a good spot. Now I'm going to not press anything, just drag down on these arrows. This one might be a bit hard to get, but otherwise you can just press G and then select the axes, so that could be GX for the red one. And I'm going to move this, I'm going to press 1 and then 5 to go into orthographic. Then I'm going to select this and move it down here to the front of the body and press RY 90, just because we can. Press 1 and just move it to something like that. If you had a proper character, like fully rigged model that walks around, you can slot it into wherever, and that will work as well. Now I'm going to press I location rotation. And just to check that this works, we're going to go into game logic, select here, keyboard, just do A, could be anything. I'm going to select action, just drag that across, and pistol action, and it started at frame 0 and ended at frame 100. Now when we press numpad 0, and go into textured view, press P, if we press A, we can see that I already set up this model so it moves sideways when I press A, but you can see the secondary weapon getting pushed downwards. So that's working nicely. Anyway, onto the, let's change this to Z. There we go. Onto the primary. It's probably not going to be so simple. Actually, it could be. You could do this however you wanted to, but for multiplayer, obviously, if it was a multiplayer game and other people can see, you're going to have to make it sort of, I don't know, somewhere logical, where somebody would put their primary weapon if they wanted to pull out their secondary. But anyway, we're going to go into this corner here until this little crosshair pops up. I'm going to click and drag, timeline, drag that to 0. I'm going to press I, location rotation, with the primary selected. I'm going to go to 100. You can just click here to get it right. And then we're going to press, well, then we're going to move it. So I'm just going to move it something down there, and for now, because we can't see it, I'm going to move it down there-ish. Then press I, location rotation. Now if you notice, we go in numpad 0, go into camera view, we go along like this. They're both coming from both sides. You probably don't want your primary on that side and secondary on that side. That might just be a bit funny. So if you do ever do any mistakes with keyframing and stuff, really easy. Just go back, make sure you're exactly on that keyframe, so 0 for this one. Then you can move it around. RZ, GY, and GX. Until I'm happy with that sort of view. Then I can press I, location rotation, and now it'll work from there. Obviously now it's like going through the camera into the other side of the body, which I might not want. So making sure I'm on frame 100, I can move this across to here, press I, location rotation, and when go back to frame 0, then we have that going down like that, as well as the secondary, which will be inside it, if you can see right there. So now we've got that part done. I'm gonna go to frame 0 just to stop strange stuff happening, and we're going to we're going to add we'll select the primary, actually no, select the camera, and we're going to give this camera a property, and it's going to be called primary, and just call this integer. Then what we're going to do is press keyboard and a letter for changing weapon, so common one is Q. Then we're going to go along to add an AND controller, and then add a property controller. So this is, click here, select primary, and then set this to 0. So this means that if the player presses Q and the property primary is equal to 0, then add action. Then you have to select the camera and then hold down shift and right click the primary, and then just drag. Nope, I'm going to get rid of that one. We're going to click here, add action, and go down to primary action and end at frame 100. This means it will play the animation of you putting the gun down like that. Actually, we can select the camera and rename this to change, as in you change your weapon. Okay, so now we're going to add another property sensor, and this time it's going to be change, because we just renamed it, and this time it's going to be 1. Now at the moment it's not going to do anything, so we need it on this side, over here, add a property sensor on the camera, here, not here, on the camera, and join that up to there, and then do assign change 1. So that means if this property change is equal to 0 and the player presses Q, then it'll change the property to 1. Now what we're going to do here, add another AND controller, join up the Q with the second property, and then add another action, join these two together, make sure they're all joined, go to primary action and start frame 100 and leave end frame at 0. So now what this does is, if you press Q and the property is equal, property change is equal to 0, then it's going to add the property, then it's going to play this animation 0 to 100, and it's going to assign the property change with 1. And then if it is equal to 1 and you press Q, then it will play the animation of you pulling out the primary weapon again. Now the thing is, what it's going to do is going to get stuck on this last one because we haven't added in another property, so we need to add one more in under the camera, change, and assign it back to 0. So now this will go in a continuous loop, and if we press 0, press P, press Q, bring that up, and there we go. Oh, I'm not quite sure what it's doing there. Oh, right. If you're getting sort of funniness, make sure the, for now, set that to no collision, just to stop with this weird collision stuff. Okay, save it as gun change under, I'm going to save it under tutorials. And then, so if we press 0 and press P, then press Q, it's going to bring it up, and press Q again, and it'll bring it back down. So that worked quite nicely. So from 0 to that, and from that to that. So that works quite well. We're going to unselect that, and that seems to be working quite well. So, obviously when we press P, press Q, I'm not sure why it's doing that funny thing. Okay, anyway. We press Q, it pops up. Press Q again, it goes down. Not quite sure why it's doing the weird spastic thing, but... Okay, what we're going to do here is add a tap sensor. So when we press P and press Q, there we go, it's working a lot better. So now we have a good, nice working animation. However, the secondary is still there and not really working. So I'm going to get rid of all of these bricks we did to test it. Unselect this. Press Ctrl S to save, and now what we're going to do is set up the logic for the secondary one. So we're going to add, select the camera, and we can just use the same, we don't have to redo all of this, we can be smart and use the same stuff. So we're going to add in a action, and another action, and pistol action. Change this one to 100, and do it to the bottom one, and this one to 100 at the start, and this one to 100 at the end, and join that up to that one. So the top one and the first one to the bottom one. I'm going to press 0, press P, press Q again, that one goes away, this one comes back, press Q again, that one goes away. And the reason that didn't work is because we have to click in here and select pistol action. Really annoying, but if we press Q now, both go away. Oh no, secondary comes back, that one goes away, this one comes back, that one goes away, this one comes back. There we go. So press Ctrl S and save that. So now we have a nice looking game. Not really nice looking, but good working weapon change. So when you press Q, it does that quite nicely. However, if you notice, if I press Q fast, it keeps snapping back to the previous animation, which is a pain, and I'm guessing you guys don't want to have that in your games either. So that's how to do the main part. Now we're just going to optimize it, make it a lot nicer to work with, get rid of annoying bugs like that. So we're going to add an another property, call it on off, change it to integer, and go to, actually no, we can leave that. Add another one, call it timer. Do that integer as well, and change it to 100. So now what this does is, that's an on-off. Well, no, not really. We just called it on-off, but this is the timer. So when on-off is equal to 1, then it's going to start doing the timer, and only when the timer is at 0 will it allow you to press Q, and it will react. So what we need to do is add a property, property, select on off equal to 1, I'm going to go up here, another property, timer, add -1, and then join those two up like that. Now we're going to have to you have to be very careful about this. Make sure you press true, because that will screw up if you don't. If you leave it, it'll just -1 and you'll be stuck on 99. If you set it to true, it's pretty much how often it checks for that value. And because when using an assign for the thing, then for the animations, it's not going to be able to change. So that will work quite well. We're going to go up here, add another property, assign on/off to 1. So this timer will start. So what we're going to do now is select the first and sensor, join it up to here, assign on/off to 1. Then we're just going to look through it, and then it's going to check for that. If it's true, it's going to go along here to this property. It's going to add to timer -1, and we need to go here, property, and add a timer. So if timer is equal to 0, then I'm going to add an and then it's going to go down to here, and we're going to call assign on/off to 0. So whenever we're going to add one more property, assign on/off to 1. Actually no, we can just do this easily. On/off. So just drag both of the first two into this one. So we'll assign on/off to 1. When it's equal to 0, then we'll assign on/off to 0. When this on/off is equal to 1, then we need to add one more, and this makes sure that the animations only work when it is 0. So we're going to on/off equal to 0, not 1, and then we're going to drag this one up to the top one, and drag this one up to the second one as well. So now if you press 0 and press P, press Q, you can tap it repeatedly and it won't work till the animation's finished. Now for some reason it's not working at all. So there's a little bug there. Found out what the problem was. When we were playing, pressing Q, and it was switching, the timer ran out, and we never reset it anywhere. So what we're going to need to do is add a property and assign timer 100. And we're going to do this for the first animation and the second. Let's see if this one works. So there we go, guys. How to change weapons nicely without without too many glitches. So you'll be able to run around, and hopefully you've made it so that when you click, it's a little shooting animation. But that's how you make it, or how you can make it change. So there we go. That's the bug editing gone, hopefully. There is one more thing I would like to quickly cover before we do anything else, and that is if obviously say you have a fully auto primary weapon, and you only have a semi-auto secondary. Now this can be a big problem because, you know, when you swap weapons and then suddenly you're usually you'll have like a little spawner like this. This will be, you usually have two of those, one to spawn the muzzle flare and one to spawn the bullets. This sort of looks like a rocket launcher, so if I wanted it to, well, it'd be obviously launching rockets from there. However, I wouldn't want my pistol launching rockets either, because that'd be a bit ridiculous. So what you need to do is, with the spawning thing, both for the muzzle flare and for the I think it is, yeah, and for the bullets, you need to join those in with the change properties. So say this cube, we're going to call it spawner, and just for example, you've got it spawning a UV sphere, which is always moving in this direction, and you've got a cylinder that is also always moving in another direction. So when these obviously are different bullets, you do the same for muzzle flare. If it's spawning muzzle flare, you'd have that doing that as well. Well, I'll show you what you do for the bullets, and you'll be able to sort of get what you have to do for the other stuff as well. So what we're going to do is click on the cube or spawner, and add two edit objects. So this one will first be for your first type of bullet, which is sphere. This will be for your second, cylinder. And we're going to add a mouse left button and drag those both there. Like that, because you want it to, when you click the left mouse button, for it to shoot. So after you've done that, you're probably gonna with that selected, right click the cube, Control P parent, textured view. When you're gonna press P and you click, there's two of them come out at once, and you don't want to have a rocket and a small bullet coming out at once. That just doesn't look that great. So what we're going to need to do is, with that selected, also select the camera with all our property values, and then it's quite simple. You have the change is equal to 0 and drag that to the first one, and change is equal to 1 and drag that to the second one. So that will be for each of your different types of bullets. So now it's only firing spheres. If we press Q, change it, now it will fire cylinders. And obviously you can add in your timer thing so it's not shooting. And so we'd also add the on-off is equal to 1, or no, add this one in, the one that's joined to the top two, and add it to the other two bullets. So you do that same for your muzzle flare, and when you press Q and try shoot, it doesn't do anything, and now it does. So that's that done with the bullet changing. Muzzle flare, you probably if you do go with the spawning different muzzle or spawning muzzle flare, then you'd use the same for the edit object. However, that's a pain because if you run forwards while shooting, you have all these flares flying at you through the gun, which doesn't look too great. So if you do use a, say, visibility sensor here, and you have that set to on and off, you'd obviously also join it in, you'd have muzzle flare 1, have the visibility instead of edit object, and you'd join in the change equal to 0 and the on off equal to 0. So you're pretty much just joining all the components that are joined to the animated, to these animations of the guns going up and down. And that should work out quite nicely. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. Hopefully it helped you guys out. I mean, really didn't have anything around when I was trying to learn this stuff. I would have definitely been grateful if I had this around. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you found it helpful, leave a like. It'd be greatly appreciated. Oh yeah, and if you have any sort of questions or anything regarding this, you're sort of having troubles and stuff, feel free to leave a comment. And I can get in touch with you and try to help you out with your blend file or whatever. I'll be quite happy to do that. But yeah, so hopefully you found this tutorial helpful, and you managed to do something with it. If you do have any requests or anything, I should hopefully be able to make, should hopefully be able to make a tutorial on it. So definitely feel free to request anything. But yeah, so I hope you guys found this helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.